Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
We're live, the Miami Book Fair, powered by Life Improvement Radio, here on the Neil Haley Show. You can go to neilhaley.com for more information. Tweet me on Twitter at Neil Haley, or, again, the Neil Haley Show on Twitter and Instagram, all those different places. I'm all over the place. And we continue to have a great conversations, Eric, at the halfway mark of this. And every year we learn something new from everyone we have on, Eric, right?
Absolutely. So exciting. I love the Miami Book Fair. And the cool part is you get to meet, just as we were just talking to Thomas about, get to meet so many new and interesting people, along the journey. So it's a lot of fun to have these great conversations.
And what I've learned from interviewing major celebrities and then interviewing people that I just don't know anything about, I really think that every one of these people are interesting conversations as long as you have a conversation with them, Eric. If you have a boring, dry book questions and really don't get to know the person and the ins and outs, like when we had Thomas on last interview, Thomas Swick, I brought up, hey, you should write a travel book about Pittsburgh. When you open up to people and ask questions that get them out of their comfort zone, it's a lot of fun. So I'm excited to welcome to the program author Kim Brooks. Kim, thanks for calling. And Kim, is this your first time attending the Miami Book Fair?
It is, yeah, and thank you for having me.
First time. So did you know what to expect? Because we one year covered live in Miami. Well, Eric's in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I'm here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But we've covered it in Miami. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Being in that green room and all the running around that happens and all the interesting events, right?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I've been to a couple book festivals, but this is definitely the biggest and liveliest one I've been to so far. So I'm really enjoying it.
And happy 35th
Are you speaking or doing any workshops today? Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Neil.
Sorry, what's that?
No,
I was just asking if you're doing any workshops or speaking anywhere today. I was just curious if you're doing any events in the fair.
Yeah. I'm doing a panel discussion at 3:30 with Ada Calhoun and Don Davies on the Modern Family. So that's coming right up, and should be fun.
Nice.
Good conversation.
There we go. Kim, I can keep you on for hours and talk about family. I have 5 kids of my own, so let's just jump to this, Kim. Why did you write a book about, parenting? What was the reasoning for doing that, especially when you talked about your other book not relating to that as much, right?
Mm-hmm, right. Well, my other book was related in that it was also about fear and anxiety and irrational fear. So what kind of prompted me to start writing on the subject was that about 6 years ago, I had a harrowing experience where I allowed my son to wait in the car for a few minutes on a cool day while I ran into a store to get something. He was completely fine. We went about our business, but somebody saw me do this and called the police and recorded me doing it. And eventually, I was charged with a crime and kind of became embroiled in a legal ordeal. It worked out fine in the end, but it was a harrowing enough, strange enough experience that it got me asking a lot of questions about the culture of parenthood, of modern parenthood, and fear. And so, my book is about parenting, but it's really also about society and about how much has changed in just a generation or two in terms of our norms around parenting and safety and our expectations, particularly of mothers, and what makes kind of a good parent, a good mother. So it was the incident, but it was also the way that this incident made me start asking, kind of critical questions that I hadn't been asking before.
And what do you think that different generations in parenting is an interesting thing to look at, right? And I really think it's a concern I have as well. There's no real book on to be the right parent. And you'll always have some other generation or other method to parenting, but the mistake we all make is we look at, well, what do other people think of us as parents versus what is best for our children?
Right, that's true. And that's one of the things that I write about is that there's this very intense competitive culture or sort of surveillance culture surrounding parenthood, and so it's hard enough to kind of know what is to feel like you're making the best decisions for your kids. But added to that now is that we're all very concerned with not just being a good parent, but with looking like a good parent or appearing to be a good parent, which, in some ways is okay and inevitable, right? We live in communities. We're social creatures. We don't, unless you're going to go live on a compound somewhere by yourself, this is what happens. But the problem is that the norms around what a good parent is have become, just in the last 30 to 40 years, have become so kind of prescriptive, and what we expect a parent to do today is not what it was 30 years ago or 80 years ago. There's this sort of culture of hyper-parenting and helicopter parenting, or concierge parenting is the latest term that I really like. And the idea now is that is what a good parent is. And so, this has a pretty profound impact both on children and the way that they live, and also on adults, especially on women, because we still do the majority of child care in this country, and sort of on society at large. So my book kind of unravels these different consequences for these cultural shifts.
And these consequences of cultural shifts are sometimes concerning. It's just really weird when you kind of look at a perspective when you become a parent versus you have multiple kids versus you see other parents, and what is right and what is wrong. Because I'll tell you, I went through a lot of goofy things as a kid, and I experienced different things in my life, but I'm not a messed up person at my age, but then other people aren't getting experiences as a kid, or they're being forced not to have other experiences. And we think that then, having these experiences, Kim, are a bad thing. Do you know what I'm saying? That, I babysat on the weekends instead of going to the football game. Well, my kids go to the football game, or they play a certain sport while other kids are not. And what's the wrong way and right way? It really makes it difficult in this day of Facebook family relationships, Kim, right? Do you never notice the Facebook genre for parenting, that all we see is other people's Facebook lives by posting things? So I'm adding a few different questions to this one answer because you're really getting me intrigued by this. But wouldn't you agree in my commentary that that's the problem, that parents feel at a loss because of all these things?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's certainly part of the problem, is social media. And, everybody is a perfect parent on Facebook.
Exactly.
We sort of brand ourselves. We're kind of posting these little advertisements for ourselves all the time. But the problem is, that really doesn't do what parents need most, which is make really connections between people and sort of build support systems and communities of parents. It can be used to do that, but it also often just ends up making people feel really crappy about themselves and, feel like they can never live up to sort of these glossy, sepia-tinted standards. And one thing that I write about is that parenting is so hard, and the thing that really makes it easier and makes people more successful, and there have been a lot of books, sociology books written on this, is not anything that one particular parent does, but the strength of the community surrounding those parents. So, how much support do parents get from other family members, extended family, neighbors, friends, just people in the community? Those are the things that really protect parents from their worst moments and help children the most. There was an interesting study I read recently that said that one of the greatest predictors of if children if a child will graduate from high school, it's not what you might think. It's not poverty. It's not, are their parents divorced? It's how much social capital exists in their community. And by social capital, they meant, what is the strength of people in that community's bonds to one another? That is really what kids need. They need community. And the problem with Facebook and with social media is that I feel like it's this kind of illusion of community. Like we feel like we're connected when we're staring at people's posts on Facebook, but it's not the same as those in-person, human-to-human connections.
That's the biggest thing that I think has changed our parenting style and our lifestyles is Facebook. Good, bad, or indifferent, they care more about looking like a perfect parent on Facebook and having experiences than really being a good parent. And I don't know if you discussed that in the book, Kim, but that was a great adding into what my commentary was on this and really looking at it.
Yeah, I do talk about that, yeah, and I agree. I think it's something that more people need to be thinking about and writing about and finding solutions.
To define how we can be the best parent, Kim, after writing this book.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Define how we can become the best parent from writing this book now, after all this research and different things. How can we become the perfect parent?
Yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, when I started this, I very much was sort of drinking the Kool-Aid, which I think says that often the best parent is the most careful parent or the most fearful parent or the parent who protects their child the most. I very much went along with that. But what I've come to realize or believe in writing Small Animals is, that really the only thing we can do as parents is, I think we can really give our kids two things. I think we need, and obviously shelter and food are important as well, but emotionally speaking, we can give them empathy and we can give them love. And we can sort of see them as people. And that doesn't mean that believe me, I don't think that means giving them whatever they want, right? But what it means is saying, you're a member of the family. And so, and no member of a family ever gets everything they want. I don't get everything I want, I might want to go to the beach on Saturday instead of vacuuming my house, and I can't do that because I'm a member of the familial community. But I think it's important to let our kids know that they are members of this community, of our family, of our neighborhood, of whatever your community is, and to make them feel within that community both free and safe, which is what we all want, right? We want to be safe, but we also want to be free. We don't want to have someone telling us what to do every second of the day and never letting us do anything without being observed and never letting us make our own mistakes, right, and learn from them. That would be terrible to live that way. It would be terrible for adults, and I think it's pretty terrible for kids too. So I think there needs to be more focus on looking at the ways in which kids really are just people, and I think they want a lot of the same things that we as adults want, and focusing on that, how to kind of bring them into communities rather than thinking that because they're kids they need to be sort of protected from life.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very, very interesting process, and we'll see where we're going in parenting. But again, it's based on perspectives, but we shouldn't stress ourselves out, right? That's the biggest thing, Kim. We can't stress ourselves out. We just have to try to be the best parent we can, and we're going to fail because every parent fails at times. We can't be perfect.
That's right. All we can do is the best we can. Absolutely. I agree with that.
And circumstance has a lot to do with it, and it's out of our control. We don't know. Our lives are a very interesting journey. It's out of our control. We can't allow ourselves to stress because we never know what can happen. All right, best place we can connect with you, Kim, and learn more about you. Where can we go?
I have a website, kabrooks.com, where I have a lot of my work posted. And you can, of course, buy my book, Small Animals, Parenthood in the Age of Fear, and it's available at all good bookstores and on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
All right. Well, fabulous. Thanks for coming on, and best of luck, and I appreciate you calling today.
Thanks so much. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Take care, Kim. See you later. All right. See you. Okay.
Bye.
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 You're listening to the Neil Haley Show, powered by Life Improvement Radio, live from the Miami Book Fair, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.